series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Michelle Long and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Michelle and Dan.
All right, we are trying this a little bit easier to make it a little easier for the awkward transition that we typically have. And lo and behold, we should be good to go. Michelle, how are you?
Good morning, Dan. Good afternoon, wherever you might be. I'm great today. How are you?
Very good. We're actually on the same time zone as we are making, my wife and I are making our journey from East Coast to West Coast again. My wife is having foot surgery, and Michelle, you've been very helpful in helping with that whole process, because you've had two major surgeries on your foot.
Yeah, on the left foot and one on the right. And I was walking on both feet and scaling new heights, which is very exciting. And as you're going to the West Coast next week, I'm going to the East Coast. So we're going to be switching.
We'll catch up to each other one of these days. But
yeah, we will. We did down in Orlando.
That's right. And I did put a picture of us together on the slides today. So you want to go ahead and kick us off today?
Welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Today's topic is Modern View Reports Updates. We're very glad to have you joining us today. My name is Michelle Long. I'm a CPA and an MBA in entrepreneurship, the owner of Long for Success, speaker for Intuit for since 2007 until the end of 2023, early 2024, when Intuit is announced that they are disbanding, killing, retiring, whatever, ending the Trainer Writer Network as we all knew it and loved it. So that is the end of that. So anyway, I also have an announcement at Scaling New Heights that I am having the first grandbaby join our family next week on July 8th. That's part of why I'm going to the East Coast next week. And along with that, I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm hanging up my shoes and my speaker's badge or whatever, and I'm done with all this. But I'm still going to be helping Dan with Power Hours. You guys aren't getting rid of me yet. I'll still be joining in here because I still do love to talk. And I'm not going to leave Dan high and dry. So I'll still be hanging around and chatting with y'all for a while.
If one person appreciates that, it's me. But we appreciate all that you've done for the accounting industry over the course of your career, and we understand that you life is taking some journeys for you, and you want to spend more time with your family, and we appreciate that, and wish you all the best as that moves forward.
Thank you.
My name is Dan DeLong, owner at Dan With and School of Bookkeeping. Worked at Intuit for nearly 18 years, co-hosting today as well as the workshop Wednesdays over at School of Bookkeeping, and doing some tech editing duties on the QBO for Dummies, and just was asked for the QuickBooks All-in-One book series. So looking forward to that project as well. So a little bit of the details about the QB Power Hour. It's every other Tuesday at noon Eastern. Our upcoming webinars, we are working with Makers Hub to be our CPE sponsor. So looking forward to having at least one each month to be able to eligible for CPE, and we'll try that on the first of the month to make it easier as we go forward. You can always go to the website to check out upcoming events, as well as qbpowerhour.com/resources for the recordings, the PDFs of the slides, and other resources as well. Now, as we unpack and talk about the reports, which is, as I understand, accountants love their reports. I mean, that's a core offering, or core service offering for accountants, is the preparing of the reports and sharing that with your clients and getting insights into their business. So these modern reports changes are significant to accounting and accounting professionals. So if you have questions and concerns about that, please put them in the Q&A If you have general comments of just anything in general, that doesn't relate to this particular webinar or topic that we're talking about, please put those in the chat, because there's two different ways to communicate with us. And then, of course, we also have the slides and the handouts there, which I will post in the Q&A and slides momentarily, because I cannot click and drive the slides and, and paste the links at the same time. Of course, we are simulcasting. Looks like we have a couple of folks watching on Facebook groups or YouTube channels as well. If you are on the Facebook group, as we will put it in there, there is a QR code to allow Facebook to see the platform that we're streaming with, so we can see who you are while we're broadcasting. We also do have a QB Power Hour website. We invite you to check that out as well. But let's just jump into it and talk about what we're going to be talking about today. We do want to recap some of the things that happened at Scaling New Heights, just to kind of get an idea of our perspective as we attended that accounting conference, and then we'll jump into the modern reports changes and let you know what's happening with the reports. We'll do some demonstrations with some of those things as well, and then kind of open it up for Q&A. So let's first start off with our first poll, which went somewhere. Where'd it go? Always a joy to find out. There we go. Okay, did you attend Scaling New Heights? How many Scaling New Heights have you attended? I know they were giving like how many little pins that you could do. Michelle, how many have you gone to?
I have been to all of them except the one in San Antonio where I had a surgery that year, and Joe gave me a pass because it was something I could not avoid, and so he still says I attended all of them.
Got it.
So, yeah, he says I've been to them all.
Okay. When I launched the poll, this is actually the first time that we've had 100% participation in any poll.
Awesome.
But when I launched the poll, it looks like more people came in and started attending the webinar. So we have some more people who came in while the poll was launched. But of the folks that were available during the launching of the poll, everybody answered, which is great. Looks like about 10% went to the conference, and about 88 did not. So we wanted to kind of recap some of the things that we experienced. There was some really good. I mean, it was long and short at the same time, which is. Do you find that that's kind of the case for these conferences that you go to, Michelle? Is that it just whizzes by, but then as you're doing it, it's like, wow, this is 4 or 5 days of attending.
Yes, it is. It seems like, oh my gosh, it's so exhausting, but then you're like, oh my gosh, it's over already, and it's amazing how you can go through a conference like this and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't see you. Somebody was there, but yet you're like, you didn't run into somebody, but yet there's thousands of people there, and so it's a small event in some ways, but it's a big event in other ways. So it is really a great event, and I loved hearing from so many people and seeing their posts online about, I went 10 years ago and it changed my life. So for a lot of these people, it really helps change the trajectory of their practice and their life, and it helps really make a difference and an impact. And I know, Dan, you can speak to that from, after you had, left into it and you were kind of, okay, I'm going to start my own practice, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. And Hector and I had talked about, hey, Hector wants to kind of do his own things with his webinars and start charging for them. And I didn't really want to do that, but yet I didn't really want to do Power Hour on my own. And I needed somebody smarter than me with that technical knowledge. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And it's amazing how all of this kind of works out, but going to these conferences, it's not just the things that you learn, it's the networking and it's the people, and it's what goes on at lunch and at dinner and in the hallways and at the bar over some drinks, even if you don't drink, but it's just all of the relationships that you develop over the years. And Oh, I'm going to cry. And that's why it was so hard for me to tell people this is the last conference I'm probably going to, because of all of the relationships and all of those people. I mean, that's what really makes a difference. And that's what helps you grow your practice. And that's where a lot of people realize, even though you have a practice as you're on your own, you're not alone. I mean, there's a whole tribe of people out there, and that's where the Facebook group is so amazing as well. You've got this whole group of people to support you. So I think it's incredible.
Yeah, it's really the tribe of choice, right? When you go to these things and you're able to, be get some face time with people that you either just rarely get to know, or of them. And that's what's really neat for me, going in, supporting you and your classes that you were teaching, and actually sitting down and learning a few things from people that you see what they're up to, and then actually getting to get into the whole nuts and bolts of what it is that they do. There was some great, main stage sessions, and some of the, like, the whole thing about quantum computing and changes are coming. Those were types of things, that the kind of themes that the accounting industry is going to be disrupted, whether we want it to or not. And then that's what I kind of wanted to kind of cover on this one, is that, technology is evolving so fast. One of the things that I was kind of thinking of is, like, is there a world where, in accounting, where that doesn't involve QuickBooks, right? A lot of people are, frustrated. I think that's the nicest way to way to put it. Where, the changes and the direction that Intuit and QuickBooks is heading. Um, is that is there a possibility where it doesn't involve QuickBooks? And that's where I was kind of going around the exhibit hall. That there were I was going to say exhibition and exhibit at the same time. Going around the exhibit hall, seeing the other ones, and of course, Intuit wasn't present because they have a policy of not attending conferences where they're not the only, accounting platform there. So, they really didn't have to attend, because there was plenty of QuickBooks logos all over the place, for those exhibitors that do integrate with QuickBooks. And so I was thinking, like, would accountants, use this as an opportunity to talk to Zero, or talk to Accounting Suite, or talk to Sage? It's like, okay, well, where is my breaking point, when it comes to that? And, coming from the Intuit culture and the Intuit ecosystem, QuickBooks is all I know. And I think that's very scary. I think is to say the least. Of, well, what else is out there? Do I have the time, the energy, the effort to be able to learn something? And then I'd be kidding myself if, saying that it's perfect. The grass looks always
Right.
greener on the other side, but really, reality, the grass is greener where you water it. And, and if you can put some boundaries in place, so we use a landscaping analogy, put some borders between, where that grass and the weeds, kind of intersect. I think that's a better place for a lot of people. But, some people are taking that, exit strategy, or, this is a happening, or a trigger event. That's the word I was looking for, of doing something else, right? Like, maybe it's, looking into FreshBooks, or, something like that, because the pricing of QuickBooks going up. Maybe that's pricing them out of the clientele that they want to work with, right? And maybe there's another
Right.
platform that actually does that. Um, One of the things, when I was watching the Digits, um, CEO on the main stage, that was where that thought was coming from. And I went over to the Digits booth, and I was talking with them, and we're gonna try to have them come on the Power Hour as a guest. There's the word I was looking for. to kind of talk about some of the things that they were working on. And that's kind of where, where we're at this point is technology going so fast that, Square will have its own general ledger, or these other applications. And some of the conversations that I was having with people about this topic was that, accountants, bookkeepers, practitioners, they really need something that they know and that they can kind of work with and trust. And that those three things are the caveat of all of that. And if that's QuickBooks, great. If that's zero, that's fine too. Whatever that happens, if it's Excel spreadsheets, or as you were saying before we started, Lotus 1, 2, 3, right? Like whatever you can hold on to and use to prepare your services, that is what makes sense in the long run. What do you think, Michelle?
I agree with you that I do hear more and more people that are looking for alternatives and things. And I do think there is a place for a scaled down, easy, just kind of core general ledger something with apps doing the work. And I was very impressed with Digits last year, even more impressed with Digits this year. And I would love to get them on. And I love Jeff. I can't remember his last name. I think it was Jeff something or another, I think was his name. But yeah, amazing. If there's one app you guys are going to check out, Digits should be it. I think it is just incredible. But yes, I do think there's something to be said for that. And I think that's what QuickBooks Online was supposed to be to begin with, was the core, and then have apps that integrate with it. To keep it simple and have the apps do all the heavy lifting. And I think they're kind of in some ways getting away from that again. So
right, yeah, it's always this ebbs and flow when it comes with Intuit and QuickBooks. Their centralization, having everything in one platform, which is, I think, when you look at the desktop space with enterprise, running payroll, job costing reports, inventory management, all of those things, for the most part, can be done inside of the QuickBooks ecosystem, inside of the company file. So you don't have to have these extra things. So there is an ebb and flow of that, where it's either all these things are going to be existing in apps that feed into QuickBooks, or some of these things are going to be inside of QuickBooks directly. And one of the things that I really it kind of dawned on me a little bit, coming from a non-accountant accounting space, is when Joe got up on the first day and started talking about client accounting services or client advisory services that really could be divided into multiple classifications, and there was really a timeline associated with that. Like accounting and bookkeeping is more of stuff that happens in the past. Back office processing, where you're doing payroll or sales and use tax or sales and local tax, accounts payable, accounts receivable processing, that's more of a present service offering. And then the things that are future based, like the financial planning and analysis and the fractional CFO services, are future based. And the more that you get into the future with regards to the services that you offer, adds a greater value to the services that you can charge for. And I was, as he was talking and unpacking all of that, I was like, well, some of the things that I do are sprinkled across all of these, and here I am doing things more on the accounting bookkeeping, because in my mind, I want these things to be automated so that I just manage the data when they're outliers, like an exception report, type of thing. And yeah, I find myself a victim of my own scope creep when I was looking at that. What has been your experience in your long tenure of of those types of things, Michelle?
I totally agree with you, and I think the data management is definitely it. as far as now and where we're moving forward. And yes, we definitely need to start focusing on, these higher level services and stuff, because that's what's being automated is the lower level and everything. And that's where they were talking about the AI and what they're doing and everything. And it's getting to the point where we're not even going to be doing bank recs because it's all going to be automated. You can see now where QuickBooks is even starting to put in the bank statement ending balance and statement ending date and stuff. So, I mean, it's even going to be reconciling that bank account for you, where we're just going to get a flag if something goes wrong and it doesn't happen. So data management is a key. And that's where the financial planning and analysis fractional CFO, and there were some great nuggets of information in there. And one of the best, and I just want to share this because it was so impactful and really, I'm going to leave this with you and let you think about it afterwards. And then we got to get to reporting. But do you remember Sully and the plane that crashed into the river up in New York? Right. So
Yes.
you remember the plane? Okay. So, and I don't remember the exact details, but it was an interview with somebody, and they were talking to him about how how did he crash the plane or whatever, and he says, I didn't. He says, he said, what was it? He successfully crashed the plane. And we were talking about AI, and is AI going to take our jobs? And the key thing to think about is Sully knew they were going to crash. The captain of the plane knew they were going to crash. This airplane is going down. Sully thought, I'm going to crash on the river to try to save people's lives. So he thought of an option to successfully crash the plane. So he didn't successfully land the plane. He successfully crashed the plane. AI cannot do that. AI can only do based on what it's been taught from history. Sully and people, us, have the brain to do the financial planning and analysis and the CFO work. We have the brain to come up with the ideas that have not been done before, and to come up with the things that we need to interpret the data. AI can't do that. AI can only look at it and tell you what's been done before. That was profound. So stop worrying about AI quite so much. I love that. Think about that later. I thought that was great.
And the other gentleman who was talking about the fact that when you ask a machine for an answer, it has to give you some kind of answer, and sometimes that answer is just made up based off of all that it knows at the time, right? And that's going to
they call it hallucinating. Right? The rest of us call it bullshit. They call it hallucinating. We all call it bullshit. But yeah, just make something up.
You're definitely on the road to retirement with your loose lips now.
You just broke up and I didn't hear any of that, but I'm sure it was good.
All right. Well, let's get to the reporting. Have another poll of how reliant are you on reports? We'll throw that poll out there. Do you use all the reports that are inside of QuickBooks, or maybe you use some other reporting app because it can report consolidations for multiple entities? Or maybe you don't use reporting at all. It's not necessarily in your scope.
And this is where, as we get into the reports and everything, if you're not using reports that much or anything, this is where, my goodness, this is the key. This is the payoff for why we do all this accounting and stuff and everything. I know the IRS says you have to do it and everything, but this is really the key. This is what helps the owners and the management run the business, make better business decisions and everything. So we really, if you're not aware of all the reports that are out there and what's available with the new reporting and all the new capabilities that are available, the new charts and graphs that are available and everything, you really need to get in there and dig around and play with it. Go into the sample companies and stuff, because the capabilities that we have now are really a lot more powerful, and they're great reports that you can make available for your clients and get some of that management attention by using the charts and graphs and stuff and putting them right in your management report. So great stuff that's out here.
Yeah. And looking at the polling here, I'm going to go ahead and end it here so I can share it. Yeah, it looks like 74% of the folks who responded do all their reporting from inside of QuickBooks. So this news and the things that we're going to unpack here today about the modern versus the classic view is definitely impacting them, and will, because as we're showing here on the screen, by the end of this year, 2024, this is of course looking in the future, and that's 6 months from now. A lot of things could change, between now and then. But as of today, July 2nd, 2024, the plan is by the end of the year, 2024, all reports will be only available in the modern view. Into its credit, they started this process late last year, and because of feedback, decided to take a little bit more time and roll this out in waves. So the first batch that's going to be in this modern view makeover is what I'm seeing here. Class list, location list. Most of these here are lists, which are not necessarily transaction-based reports. So good news there is that they're just really, listing reports of lists to get us familiar with the reporting functionality and the customization. Where did they move the cheese, as I like to say? If we're mice in a maze and the cheese gets moved, that's what's really happening here with regard to the changes of the reporting. So the class list, location list, the open invoice report, payment method list, physical inventory worksheet, products and service list, sales by location, the detail report. So that's the actual transaction-based report, the terms list, and then transaction list by customer and by vendor. Those reports are in the first batch now, and then they'll move on to the next batch. So you'll see at the top, if it's one of those that can be toggled between, you'll see this switch to classic view button at the top, or be able to switch back and forth between those. And we have in the slides, we do have links to an Intuit article that lists all of the reports, which are the reports that are only in the modern view, which of the reports are only in the classic view, and which of the reports can be toggled between the two. And we'll kind of demonstrate some of those as well. But that's something that is that's what's happening right now. The modern report view, or the custom report builder, we want to kind of talk about this a little bit, because this kind of started once QuickBooks Online Advanced introduced the custom report builder. And when I first saw the custom report builder, my initial feedback was like, oh, this is like drool worthy for accountants and bookkeepers, because of the way that the things that you can do that classic reports didn't allow you to do. But we want to talk about, and you'll see in some of the articles where Intuit will kind of make claims that that could be a little confusing, because custom report builder is only QuickBooks Online Advanced, and then there's going to be some features and functions that are only in QuickBooks Online Advanced, but they kind of talk about some of these things, and give the impression that, hey, if you have the modern report view in Simple Start, you'll be able to update a report from Excel. Well, that's not the case. I mean, from what we see today. Now, that may be different later, but as we see it today, you're going to need to use spreadsheet sync in order to do that. So that's only QuickBooks Online Advanced, right? So just wanted to kind of separate those two. Modern report view is going to be available in all versions, and you're going to have the report customizations to mirror that custom report builder on existing reports, with the hope that it's faster loading time, and you can add all these reports to management reports, which will be all across all versions. But the custom report builder and the functions that you'll see in QuickBooks Online Advanced only is going to be things that are going to be dealing with the spreadsheet sync integration. So when you go to export and you want to see that inside of QuickBooks or Excel, excuse me, then that's going to require you to be on QuickBooks Online Advanced. Obviously, if you're looking at the new revenue recognition reports or the fixed asset reports, those are features only in QuickBooks Online Advanced. So you're not going to see that in your other versions of QuickBooks Online Plus or Essentials, because those features just don't exist. But the articles don't explicitly call that out. And then the function of a pivot table is only in QuickBooks Online Advanced on the reporting itself. Now, if you send it to Excel, you can add your pivot tables all you want, right? So here's this, but I like Classic View. Like for being on the other side of the Intuit phone system and being the receiver of feedback from accountants and bookkeepers and practitioners and ProAdvisors, I heard this a lot, right? Anytime that there was a change, we heard from the people who liked it the way it was, right? So this is not the first time that reports have got an overhaul, and every time there has been this resistance to change because nobody likes change better than accountants. That's sarcasm. And especially when you're dealing with something that is such a core functionality or of your practice with reports. I mean, we talked about 74% of you only use QuickBooks reports as your method of reporting. So that's really invasive to your everyday life. So I certainly can understand that. But why make this change altogether, right? So this is a huge overhaul, right? So this is a huge change and a shift in reporting, but it's built on older technology. The classic reports are just built on older technology. So here's what we wanted to kind of talk about, and I threw a picture of Annie Oakley up here because of all the anything you can do, I can do better from Annie Get Your Gun if you're music theater people. But what does it do that Classic doesn't do? This is, of course, an ideal state. We are in this period of time where things don't work in that ideal state, and feedback is going to help get us to that ideal state. And this is terribly frustrating during this time period when your work is going to be impacted by this because of the impact of reportings. But the ideal state here, faster loading times for reports. So great, we'll save seconds or however long it takes to generate those reports. User permissions are going to be able to be more in depth when it comes to the access of reports. I mean, if you think about QuickBooks Enterprise, where you can get into the minutia of the different types of reports, this will allow QuickBooks and Intuit to be able to enhance those user permissions to be able to assign certain areas of reports, and you'll be able to immediately preview or see the customizations before saving the report. You have additional customization options like the advanced filters, the data pivots, charting the data, turning it into a chart. The ability to bring in new data from QuickBooks Online or other products into a report. That is the goal, of the future state of all of this. New reports like the fixed asset revenue recognition and project reports that are in QuickBooks Online Advanced, and then the ability to run reports from Microsoft Excel directly from Microsoft Excel. When you're using the spreadsheet sync. Again, we're going to be talking about that in as it relates to QuickBooks Online Advanced, and the ability to add any report to management reports. So as you create your report packaging, you can create and customize any report and put it into the management reports. So how will I tell which view I will get? So when you're looking at the report list, you'll see this little magic wand that'll give you an indication that it will be on this new enhanced experience or the modern view. So if you see that icon next to any report, that is going to open up by default into the new modern view. And you may have, if you're in this grace period where it hasn't been completely part of that batch yet of turning into modern view only, you'll see this switch to classic view at the top. So you'll have that ability to to change it back and use what you know rather than learn something new. But the customization is going to be broken down into three major areas. You've got the general customization, the filtering, and the grouping. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then Michelle will kind of give us a nice demonstration on what you can do inside of that as well. But the general customization is where you would set your basis. You can drag to reorder the columns. You can poke the eye and so to hide it. And if you're really frustrated into it, you can poke it as hard as you want. But this is where you put in your general appearances, like your number formatting, the aging, the header and footer information. One thing that I did notice, and kind of talking about this with and looking at the Facebook group, is the one thing that's not there is the notes. You could add notes in the classic view and appear at the bottom. Please put in feedback about that because that was in the footer of the classic view about that. The groupings. This is one of the things that I think is really cool about the new reportings is the ability to add groups and basically create subtotals within the reporting itself. And you can add different group calculations to calculate totals, averages, or percentages based on those numeric numbers. So this is one of the things that was when I first saw the custom report builder. This is pretty cool because that way you don't have to always send it to Excel and then have Excel do those subtotals and those types of things. So now you can do it directly, or should be able to do it directly within QuickBooks with regards to the view. And then this one of the filtering is fantastic because one of the things that Classic View didn't allow you to do is filter for something and then exclude it. And Michelle will kind of unpack that as well. But you don't have the ability to find one thing and exclude it from the report. Now you can with the filtering, and you can add multiple filters for all of those things, and add additional and or conditions to those filterings as well. So these are the filtering and the grouping. I think is a fantastic add to that. So we've created some resources and links. We were supposed to have Keith from Intuit joining us here today, but I don't know where he went. Kind of ghosted me a little bit, but so I hope he's okay. But he is in the UK, and I'm sure there was a time zone issue or something like that. But he had created a lot of modern view training tutorials on Loom, and we provided a link to that as well to help ease the challenge of how do I do this from classic view to modern view. And he's done a great job of creating those tutorials. There is a list of reports that are in modern view, and those that are in classic view, and those that can be switched between, and then a resource there on how to customize those reports in modern view. So real quick before I hand things over to Michelle, I had where to go. There we go. There you go. I ran an invoice listing report in this is the exact same company, the exact same report in in QuickBooks Online, and I have them just kind of being side by side comparison. Now this is inside of a QuickBooks Online accountant, so you'll see, this pivot and some of the extra things that you can do inside of QuickBooks Online accountant that just wouldn't be there if you are in a Plus or Essentials. But this is where you can see that switch to classic view, and then scheduling the reports, adding it to management reports, as well as exporting it. And then this is the run, report, and sync data in Excel is going to be taking you to down the path of spreadsheet sync, and that's where you would see that as an option as well. But I mean, of course, we have our classic view over on the other right, over on the other side. One thing that I really like about, whoops, I didn't like that. Oh no, there we go. Is the resizing of the report, right? So the width of the report in classic view, depending on how many columns that you have, can certainly extend off the slot off the side of the page. And then, of course, now I don't have any data there because I went back. But it is, well, now that I've said that, I thought it resized everything to fit on the screen. But the sorting is right here on the column. So if you want to see things by the due date, you can just sort on that. Which in over here, if you wanted to sort by that, you have to go up here and find the due date. It's never in alphabetical order. Where did it go? There it is. And then what is ascending order and descending order? I can never remember with dates. I get a 50-50 chance to do that. And of course, I picked the right one. Yay. All right. So that's a good way to kind of get used to this this classic view versus modern view, is run the report side by side and see what you can do between the two to get yourself familiar with that. So I'm going to stop sharing and toss it over to Michelle, because she has some demonstrative things that she was going to show us all in Scaling New Heights, but unfortunately she was having some technical issues, and as the consummate professional, I was so impressed at the way that you handled that. For those that didn't attend her class, she had a 2-hour class, and half of that was taken up because of a technical issue, and her whole presentation was mostly demonstration. So it's really hard to be able to demonstrate something when you can't see it. And the professionalism that you had, I think it was fantastic to see. I don't think anybody under those circumstances would have handled it as well as you did. So I appreciate everything that you had to go through there, and I wanted to give you this opportunity to redeem yourself.
Well, thank you. That's happened twice in all the years that I've been training for Intuit, I should say. And I started in 2007 for Intuit, and twice have I had to go a extended period of time without the visuals, without the slides and the screen working, and an extended period. I'm talking more than 5 or 10 minutes. This was like 30, 45 minutes, so oh my gosh. And we're talking 150 of my closest friends in there. It was awful. Anyway, thank God for Randy Johnston in the back of the room. Those that you don't know him, he's like 140 years. Oops. Yeah, thank you for stopping by the Zero Book. They've got good stuff. You guys haven't checked them out in a long time. Check them out. Anyway, all right. So here we are in, I'm going to move that off over to here. Here we are in a custom report. Okay, so, and let me just show you, for those of you that haven't worked with custom reports yet, you can start totally from scratch. If you have, let's say you have a sales rep or manager or somebody that comes to you and they give you a sheet of paper and they say, I want to see a report that has this and this, right? So they've got these columns going across, these columns going down. You can do that. You can start by total blank slate here and totally start from scratch if you want to. you can come over here and search by, sales and other transactions, whatever it is you're looking for, journal entries, transactions, products and services, lists. You can start from blank over here, sales, transactions, expenses, whatever. Totally start from scratch if that's what you want to do. Or if you want to go back to your reports and you want to start with a template, then it's got templates
Michelle,
for you that you can start with. Yes.
I think we're looking at your training QBOA screen. I don't know if that's what you were showing.
No,
and
that's not what
rather
I wanted to. Thank you for sharing that. You're not seeing what I wanted to see. So let's stop the sharing.
Take two.
Take two. Yeah, let's just do. Now, let's see. I want you to see the entire screen.
And Michelle just got a brand new computer, so she is doing all these things for the first time on this brand new computer. So there we go. Now
all right.
Okay, so
what are you seeing create new report?
Yes, ma'am.
Blank. Okay, so what I did is I clicked here under the reports. I clicked create new report. Thank you, Dan. Create new report. You can start blank. And that's what I was trying to show you is when you come in here and you click start by adding data columns, you can totally start from scratch if that's what you want to do. And I know there's people that want to do this. They're like, I just want to start clean. And you can come in here and you can choose your sales and things from your sales transactions or other transactions. And that's what I was trying to show you. You can get journal entry transactions, time transactions, class, vendors, product services, list type of things. So you can come and start from scratch, or you can come back here and say, create a new report and start from, a transaction list, from sales transactions, invoices. And this is what's great is if you start by invoice and then you come in here and it gives you something to start from, and then you can start customizing that by coming out and clicking, add columns and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to reports and pick one that I already have started out here. For example, I have sales by customer detail Power Hour demo, because I've already put a bunch of stuff on it to demo. So as Dan mentioned to you, he already showed you a few things about different things. Let's go on in and look, though, at our columns. So for example, because this is the need of it, those columns that you're adding. So watch as I come in here and take some things off. Like for example, the product and service column. If I unclick it, it'll take that right off of there. If I wanted to add that.
The fact that it's immediate and it's contextual is really great, because one of the things that was challenging, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to strike it while it's hot. One of the challenges of the classic reporting is that you really didn't know what filters that you would have or the columns that you would have available to display. And the modern report will be contextual. So as soon as you choose a specific transaction type, if there is something that you cannot choose because of the way that you're bringing that in, it will just gray those out so that you can't select them as a column.
Right. And I wanted to show you how I could search to bring that back up. I typed in product or service, and it then would bring it back up for me to search for it. So when I started typing product, it would allow me to search over here, and I find it other transaction in line items. It'll highlight it and allow you to come in there and find, and then I can click to add that back. And I don't want SKU number, so I can take that out. So you can come in here and drag and go through here and click on these and get whatever it is you want. And then I started to talk about dragging and dropping. Let me clear that out of there. When you get in here and you see the ones that you have, let's go ahead and come back. So I've got all my different columns out here. If I come out here and I say, okay, now I see what I have, I really want to rearrange some of these. I want to see the broccoli preference of these carrots and ferrets high, right up in the front. And I really want to see the salesperson up at the front too, because that's important to me. So you can click and drag and drop the grid box over here. I don't know what the official name for it is. I just kind of call it a little grid box. You can move these and notice happy fun ball, broccoli preference, Do you all have those fields in your files?
I don't
I
think
don't.
that's a default preference
I
or feel.
don't. I don't. I don't think most people have that, right? Those are custom fields that we have created in QBO Advanced. You'll see I have those over here. Broccoli preference is on my sales receipt and my invoice and various different transactions. Once in a happy fun ball. I'm not even sure what it is, but we've got it. And salesperson. When you create custom fields in QBO Advanced, you have 48 of those that you can create, and you can indicate if you want them on different transactions and if you want them printed or not. Once you've created them and you have them on those reports, and now I got to go back to that report I had. I should have kept it up, huh? You can then customize those things, and I didn't save my customization, so it goes back to my default. The point is though, here's your broccoli over here. You can create custom fields for those. And let me go into one of these invoices that has broccoli on it. You can create those custom fields. And now that I have that custom field, I have that field on a transaction. I can filter for it on a report and I can get it out. So I've got a broccoli preference, a salesperson, and a project manager. And I can even have tags out here. Now we created a custom field tag, but I also have the real field tag down here. And I can add a tag like QB Power Hour. We were talking about tags in the chat over there, and you can filter for tags. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, so that's your columns. You get the idea. You can add and remove any column you want. You can sort by those columns and all that stuff. Your general options are just prettying it up, customizing it, round off by thousands, your negatives, all the little customization stuff, headers and footers, things like that. But the power comes in here by filtering and by grouping. I can filter by salesperson, and here's where Dan was saying it is empty, it is not empty, it equals, or it does not equal. Let's say you're looking for particular things, you can do that, but then you can also add a condition. I'm looking for the salesperson, maybe I'm looking for a specific salesperson, or I'm looking for it's not empty, or ones that are empty. It didn't get assigned a sales rep, and I want to go find those transactions so I can assign a sales rep. Or the sales rep and the broccoli is it empty or not empty, or does it contain the field of yes? And this is where though you can have multiple criteria out there. Then I could also filter by those, or I'm sorry, that was my filter, but then I can group by those things, and you can group by, let's say, oops, what did I select? I didn't mean to do that. Group by a broccoli preference, and you can total by those. Edit group calculation. You can total by, the balance of, your broccoli people. It makes no sense. But you can total by this. You can total by the sales rep. You can total by sales rep. Open balance, for whichever total or something. But you guys get the idea of how complex you can get. So you can add the columns you want. You then can filter for specific things. You can group them. And here's a good example. Let's say you want to look at all the open invoices and you want to filter the open invoices by sales rep so they can follow up. You can then group the open invoices by customer for that sales rep and total them so the sales rep can follow up with all the customers that have open invoices. So here's just one example. And then you can also schedule this report to be sent on a regular basis. You can email it to somebody. You can add it to the management reports. So you can add it to an existing management report or a new management report. Okay, so you can choose which management report you want it to go to. So you can choose where you want it to go. We've got one out there, and just add it in there, and that's going to be out there. You can also export it or print it. You can also save these things as a customer report. Look at them as a table view. Check this out, chart view, vertical bar, trend line. I used to have to send this stuff I had to save the report, copy and paste it into Excel, and then link it and make these charts and graphs. I used to have to do all kinds of work to make these pretty little graphs for my clients. Look how easy this is now. And you can do more customization over here and all this stuff. This is so nice now. And look what you can do with these charts. You can export that as a PNG if you wanted to put it and do some other things with it. And you can add this to the performance center to put it like on their dashboard if you wanted to do that for your clients as well. Because over there on the dashboard, you can do that. If I remember right, you used to be able to add it over there. But if not, under the reports and in their under their performance center over there, if I remember right, reports,
got to sneak up
center,
on it.
yeah, it's in their performance center in there. You'll see here's the sales work thing that I just did, that little widget right there. And then you can do a little of this. You can move it, add it to the stuff out there. Anyway, that's some of that. We're out of time, but let's just share this real quickly. Your spreadsheet sync is so powerful. You can not only do reports over here with a live link to the data. Let me repeat that, a live link to the data. It will automatically update. When you update QuickBooks, it's going to update. This is only in QBO Advanced, but you can run individual reports like we just talked about. You can add and edit data. Let's say somebody imported bank transactions to the wrong bank account. You can change the source account using spreadsheet sync. That's one example of something you can do. You can do multi-company reports. If you have a group of companies, such as in this example, I'd have to log in again. If you had a group of companies, only one company has to have QBO Advanced. The other companies can be using Essentials, and you can run a multi-company report. You can also do budgets over here now as well. You can do your budgeting in spreadsheet sync. So this is very powerful now, your spreadsheet sync capabilities that you have. Dan, 5 minutes left. 3 minutes left.
Yeah, wanted to launch the last poll, which is after this webinar, has your opinion changed to this topic? Probably coming in like, why are they doing all this stuff? Or well, I wasn't too impressed with anything that was shown. So I want to throw that out there. I think one of the things, and as you were talking about the filtering. One thing that's just kind of glossed over there, you can change when you're adding additional filters, like filter one versus and adding another one, you can change it from an and or, right? So it can be all inclusive by choosing the operator of or, not just on the filter itself, but in the condition that you're specifying. Now, these reports always don't look the way that we had hoped them to, right? So I know I've been trying to make a report in the class or the custom view or the modern view for a client, and I know what I want to get, and I know why, and I know it should be possible, but it's still not showing up the way that I would hope it to. Please provide that feedback, like Hector and Alicia say on the unofficial QuickBooks podcast. Flood with feedback. Because they're not going to know what they need to fix unless they know they need to fix it, and feedback is the way to do that. I know that's a lame I hate hearing it, right? From the outsider's perspective, but it is the only way that they're going to know, and that feedback needs to be actionable. Rather than just saying this is great or this sucks, providing steps to duplicate the challenges, or providing a video. I know Keith had posted a request on the QB Power user Facebook group that he was looking for people to be able to get in depth and in the weeds with this sort of thing. So as Intuit offers these kinds of opportunities to be able to provide the feedback. Just bear in mind that just because the feedback's given doesn't mean that they can create an actionable option as soon as you provide the feedback. It does take some time to sort through, prioritize, categorize, and then make an action plan, and that sort of thing. Michelle, any closing thoughts here as we're wrapping up today's webinar?
I think the most important thing is get in there and start playing with it, especially, on those reports. With the spreadsheet sync, unless they've changed it, you couldn't play with the spreadsheet sync in the sample company file. So use it, with another company. If you're just doing reporting, don't send transactions back in a real company file. But you can play with it with reporting stuff and things like that. That's the best way to try things out, is just get in there and play with it.
Exactly. So next time on the Power Hour, we're going to be talking about some of the QBO updates since the last time that we've had a session like that, and then we'll take some common questions, concerns from our Facebook group and walk through those as well. So hopefully you have a wonderful holiday weekend. Don't lose any appendages by setting things off.
That's
but
right.
eat lots of protein. Hamburgers, burgers, hot dogs are great.
Ribs are on the agenda.
All right, and we'll see you next time on the QuickBooks Power Hour. Hope everybody has a great day.